What do New Yorkers from Yemen think about President Biden's visit to Saudi Arabia? Disappointed is an understatement because he didn't call out the Saudis for their war on their home country.
Plus, their heat is on the city. How are New Yorkers trying to stay cool with temperatures in the 90s? We'll show you.
And Harry Potter is translated into Kazakh, the worldwide influence of a cultural phenomenon.
From our studios in Battery Park, this is NYFA News.
Hello and welcome to NYFA News. I am Anarshal Karbek.
And I'm Zina Bilgasim. We will have those stories and more. But first, here are some of the stories in this news.
Latest moves by the Department of Justice suggest that its investigation of the attempts to overturn the 2020 election is now looking into former President Donald Trump's White House. Mark Short, former Chief of Staff to Vice President Mike Pence, testified before a grand jury in D.C. last Friday. Fellow Pence aide Greg Jacob testified in recent weeks as well. The Mega Millions jackpot has skyrocketed to over $1 billion after no ticket matched all 6 winning numbers this past Tuesday. Although no one hit the jackpot, some winners did claim big prizes. There were 8 tickets that won $1 million each after matching the first 5 numbers. The next drawing is tomorrow at 11 p.m. A woman was bit on her face, back and arms during an encounter with a monk seal in Hawaii. The full-grown female seal had her cub with her and naturally got protective of it. Local preservationists say that the swimmer provoked the attack by being in the seal's space. They ask that the beachgoers are mindful of the wildlife when they decide to swim.
When President Biden visited Saudi Arabia earlier this month, Yemeni people here in New York were watching closely. Many had hoped the president would have addressed the Saudis' brutal war in Yemen, but their hopes were dashed after seeing the summary of Biden's trip.
I'm so disappointed. We have God with us. It's not strange to hear these words from a US Yemeni when asked about his feedback regarding President Joe Biden coming back from his trip to Saudi Arabia and whether he hoped that there will be a solution to end the war in Yemen that had lasted for more than 7 years now. No, if our government was excluded from this meeting, how would there be a solution? He continued. Yemeni government as well as its president didn't participate, he mentioned. Faiz was one among a big Yemeni community in Brooklyn who hoped that the US president's visit to Saudi Arabia will bring them peace in mind and a radical solution to end the war in their country that's close to a decade away, claimed thousands of civilians and caused health disasters, as well as famine that broke the hearts of people far and wide. The anti-war activists didn't miss the opportunity to share their opinion in this regard too.
No more help, weapons, smiles, bumps, friendship, until he totally ends this Yemeni situation.
After a 2-day wait, with turned eyes to the news outlets, the US Yemeni lost every hope they have had when the released summary of the trip was initiated by the two concerned leaders' fist pump followed to bring a clear solution to their country, and realized that the visit of the US president to Saudi Arabia that emerged into the news gained an importance, turned the world's eyes to it with the hope that it would come with the magical solutions, didn't even include Yemen name, but with other major concerns related to the unprecedented high rate inflation, spike of gas prices, as well as sign of worldwide famine resulting from cessation of grains.
Many observers believe the war in Yemen and the resulting humanitarian crisis will not be priority for the United States because of the focus on the war in Ukraine and rising inflation.
We've all been dealing with higher prices for everything from gasoline to milk. But leading American economists assure that in the future, prices for goods and services in America will not only stabilize, but creep down.
Prices in American stores are growing at pace an Americans have not seen since the crisis of '70s.
The food cost got more expensive for us, and we just losing money because we cannot increase the price because people didn't get increased in their salary. They're still getting the same salary.
According to the USA Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics, furniture and bed linen are now almost 16% more expensive than a year ago. Meat, poultry, fish and eggs prices went up by almost 14%. Electricity is now 11% more expensive than a year ago. Women's clothing prices went up by 10%. Fruit and vegetables prices went up by 7%, and the median rent across the country went up more than 4%.
The reason why I shop at Costco, most of the time, some of the prices are reasonable. Just we have to remember they are bulk. If you bought something one for $10, you could get 2 or 3 for $10.99.
Costco is a place where you can often buy different products, clothes and other goods much cheaper than in regular retail stores.
The kids like these, they're snacks, so it's reasonable. It's like $8. Oh, the mangoes, they're $7. So, and in the store, they're $2.
In a statement following the report, President Joe Biden said, quote, "Fighting inflation is my top priority," and reiterated previous calls for oil and gas companies to out prices. Congress voted in favor of legislation that it says will lower the costs of various products and services. Thus, there is a reason to believe that the July inflation will weaken.
Coming up on NYFA News, the first meeting of a new business club for Kazakh community.
Plus, we will visit the place where thousands of immigrants first landed in New York.
If you have been in the city these last few weeks, you know how uncomfortably hot it has been. How have New Yorkers been trying to stay cool? Madina Bakeva.
The New York City heatwave, which brought 6 straight days of 90-degree temperatures, seems to be backing off. After almost a week of sweltering heat, the Big Apple is finally starting to cool down. Tuesday showers brought some relief to New Yorkers and tourists. Those visiting the city are determined to keep exploring despite the extreme weather. Their main goal is to stay hydrated.
To escape the heat, I tend to stick in the shade and drink a lot of water.
I live in the city, and the way we escape the heat is by wearing hats, using lots of sunscreen, staying hydrated. Yeah, try to stay out of the sun as much as possible.
The way we escape from the heat here is with air conditioning and sunscreen. And it's important to note that air conditioning and the access to it is a justice issue. And as climate is changing, that's going to become a really important issue here in New York.
During the hottest months, New York City empties out as people try to escape from the heat. Those who stay bravely endure the weather, the humidity, and try to stay as cool as possible.
I'm from New Jersey. It's very hot today in New York, very humid actually. So that's why I'm enjoying the ice cream, and I'm well prepared. I have my hat too with me. But New York is always fun, right? So yeah, we are having fun.
Street vendors are the worst off. They have to endure the summer heat and still find the strength to smile and wish their customers a good day.
Right now, so very hot. You never see right now people down the streets. Everybody, I don't know. The very hot is too much.
The weather in New York has been setting temperature records for 3 days now. Be careful in this heat. Madina Bakeva for NYFA News.
The hot temperatures will be returning this weekend. Remember to find a way to keep cool.
The first ever entrepreneurship festival featuring businesses from Kazakhstan took Manhattan by storm. Nurlayam Danayeva reports.
Just like the main speakers, some of the participants from different states of America are experienced entrepreneurs with their own thriving business. The main goal of the United Alash Foundation, which unites and organizes Kazakh entrepreneurs abroad, is to support and guide young people starting a business.
As you can see, our goal was achieved. Many people have asked many questions, and their questions was answered, and I think they are very glad that they came to the event in the hope to help them in the future.
The presence of Consul General Roshani Isbulatova seemed to increase the significance of the conference. She wished success to those present at the meeting and expressed her support for young people in business. Further, business coach Diana Asanova, the author of the Scale Up project, explained how to launch a franchise and start a new brand. The final speech was given by Aydın Yesingelde, a young entrepreneur who spoke about importing goods from China to trade on Amazon. Basically, here in America, the market is huge and very convenient and enjoyable for startups, consumers, and businesses in general. The selling rules in business are the same in IT projects and service sector, in any other industry. We will teach you how to sell and develop it, and most importantly, how to comply with the law and all the rules. Representatives of the Kazakh community who conduct their business in such areas as shops and fashion salons, transport business, cargo, agriculture, restaurants are very satisfied with the organization of such an event.
As for the farmer, I have farms in North Carolina, Virginia, such as honey production and horse breeding. I come here specifically to meet entrepreneurs like me and see my compatriots. It gave me very good insights. I think it was great for me to get to know so many people and share their experiences. So, thanks to the organizers.
This Q&A conference was held in Kazakh, Russian, and English. At the request of young businessmen who heeded the advice of the previous older generation, such an event will now be held annually, as a tradition.
It has been 30 years since the closure of nuclear test site in eastern Kazakhstan. This week in New York, the United Nations opened an exhibition to that site. Aygir Marimjanova reports.
The headquarters of the United Nations is located here in New York City. A special exhibition dedicated to the 30th anniversary of the closure of the semi-nuclear test site recently opened here.
Бұл көрме біздің қазақ халқы үшін өте бір қасіретті жылдарды еске алады. Себебі 49 жылдардан бері қарай 500-ден астам су астындағы жер үстіндегі бомбалар жарылған.
The photo exhibition vividly depicts the detrimental consequences of nuclear tests in Semey.
Тәуелсіз Қазақстанның ең бір қуанатын, мақтанатын жайты бұл біз ядролық қаруымыз жоқ. Оны біздің экс-президентіміздің жарлығымен біздің елімізден шығарылған.
These exhibitions are very important. They expose the damage nuclear tests cause to humanity and the environment.
Әрбір қазақ жастарының, қазақ халқының жүрегінде сақталады деп ойлаймын. Әрине, ол айтулы орынның осы әлемдік Американың төрінде сақталғаны бізде қуантты, әсер етті.
Last year, in this same hall at the session of the United Nations Assembly, it was announced that Kazakhstan's renunciation of nuclear weapons would become an example for other countries.
Special report for NYFA News, Aygir Marimjanova.
Coming up on NYFA News, Harry Potter gets a fresh translation.
And a visual treat for New Yorkers, the Notre Dame de Paris musical comes to the Lincoln Center.
Notre Dame de Paris, with its energy and complexity, is a musical that it's here in New York for 1 week only. Janel Khan Asirpakova reports.
This summer, New York audiences will finally have the chance to discover the international spectacle that makes its New York debut.
I like to be next to Lincoln Center because it's a center of culture and music in New York. And I think music and theater is one of the greatest things that human beings could have. I think it can bring peace and understanding between people.
Since it premiered in September 1998, it is being performed in 23 countries and translated into 9 languages.
I enjoy visiting the theaters here at Lincoln Center. They have several variety shows that are of interest. I enjoy because theater is very entertaining. It's a form of enjoyment and relaxation.
New York Magazine recently included it as one of the 29 plays and musicals you can't wait to see this summer. There is no question that it's a show to see. It is that kind of magical. French writer Victor Hugo, in his novel Notre Dame de Paris, wanted conveying to humanity the meaning of love and evil. This work reflects this eternal theme.
Thank you, New York City.
Jalhan Asılbekova for NYFA News.
The popularity of the world-famous Harry Potter series of books is still gaining momentum. Recently, this 7-volume series got a fresh translation into the Kazakh language. Dauren Muhammadjanov has the details.
The exclusive right to publish the Harry Potter books in the Kazakh language belong to Step and Tward Publishing. According to the publishers, the Harry Potter series is interesting for readers of all ages and is very popular in Kazakhstan. That is why it was decided to translate into Kazakh. The books chronicle the adventures of the young wizard Harry Potter and his friends Roy Weasley and Hermione Granger and Hogwarts School of Witchcraft. The main plot is dedicated to the confrontation between Harry and the dark wizard named Lord Voldemort, whose goals include gaining immortality and enslaving the magical world.
I have read the books Harry Potter since young. It's my first time in New York. Everyone say to me to come here. I really like this store because it's very big. There's very interesting things, and you can find all the books of Harry Potter.
There is a Harry Potter bookstore in New York, where you can find not only books, but also souvenirs with the Harry Potter logo. The popularity of books has led to a wide variety of products. As a result of which the Harry Potter brand is now valued at over $14 billion. The books were turned into films by Warner Brothers in a series of 8 movies, which become one of the most profitable franchises in the history of cinema.
Жалпы кітаптың сапасына келетін болсақ, өте жоғары сапада жасалған, сырты, мұқабасы, түсі, суреті, мына әріптердің барлығын компьютерда жаңағы дизайнері қолмен терген екен, осының бәрі сезіледі, өте әдемі жасалған. Ішіндегі қағазы да, мынандай несі де, әріптері де, басылуы, бір сөзбен айтқанда, жоғары деңгейдегі кітап.
The authors reported that when translating the names of the characters and the names of places, we were guided by the original work. Dauren Muhammadjanov, NYFA News.
In the early 20th century, Ellis Island was the place where new immigrants landed in the United States. Today, the museum there is still drawing crowds.
Your attention, ladies and gentlemen, we are now arriving at Ellis Island, the United States Immigration Museum.
About 12 million immigrants arrived in the United States through Ellis Island, the country's main gate, from 1892 to 1924. Already from the first minute of observation, you pass into a special era of the era. Here are the documents of immigrants. Here are their suitcases. Here they are being interviewed and selected for the first time, and examinations are carried out all over the country. No wonder the ancestry of about 100 million Americans began here.
Много людей, мигрантов приехало сюда жить, проходили через этот контроль медицинский.
The Immigration History Museum was inaugurated on September 9, 1990. This place tells the museum has an audio tour in different languages. It costs only $8. There are many tourists who are interested in the history of American immigration and what contribution immigrants made to the creation of America.
We are the first time in the United States and of course the first time in New York, so for us it's very important this visit because it helps us to know the history of the formation of the United States from the beginning until now, so it's a really interesting visit.
The Ellis Island Museum is a memorial to the millions of immigrants who started a new life under the American sky. The visit to the museum is free. You can get to the island on a steady cruise by purchasing a ticket for $25.
You could almost imagine what it must have been like for all of those immigrants who came through Ellis Island. Really interesting to study the history of American immigration.
On that note, that's it for us. I'm Zina Bilgasim.
And I am Anna Shalkarbek. See you next time. Thanks for watching.